Staring down the barrel of the gun, our MC sees the fatal flash of the shot tear across the screen. With a cynical smirk, the suit just watches the brutal takedown from his front row seat. Without mercy, the goons unload their clips, giving our boy zero chance to defend himself. Hit square in the chest, the young man spits up blood as the impact sends him flying backward. Lying on the ground, he hears the villain mock him, saying his luxurious life would end right there at the hands of a nobody. Stomping on his rival's pride, the boss laughs, saying that no amount of money in the world can buy back a life. Reaching out a trembling hand, our guy laments not having avenged his parents and hates this unjust fate. Slowly, the light in his vision begins to fade as life drains from his body. Plunging into deep darkness, the kid mentally screams that he refuses to accept this pathetic ending. Suddenly, his eyes fly open in an absurd jolt of adrenaline. Waking up in a sweat in his own bed, he takes a deep breath, trying to process what just went down. Patting his own chest, our hero is shocked to realize there isn't a single bullet hole. As he looks around, he instantly recognizes the messy little room from his broke student days. At that exact moment, the TV announces the grand launch of the virtual reality game, Conviction. With a focused and furious gaze, the MC finally understands he's been reborn and sent back in time. Holding a photo of his parents, the young Nian bitterly recalls the tragedy that destroyed his family. In his past life, his folks got ridiculously rich trading rare minerals on the country's border. However, this colossal fortune attracted the eyes of greedy hyenas and shadowy corporations. Swiftly, the empire crumbled, and his father ended up poisoned by the henchmen of the infamous tycoon, Cao Zhu. Facing the mirror, our boy feels disgusted at the useless person he was, having tried to drag the villain down with him and failing miserably. But having been given this divine second chance, he swears on everything that he won't lose anything ever again. Remembering the future, he knows all too well that the game Conviction will dominate the world economy and enrich his greatest enemy. Checking the date on his phone, the kid sees that the game launched just 1 week ago. With all the memories of the future in his head, our hero has the perfect plan to surpass the high-level big shots. He quickly checks his savings to secure the purchase of the cheapest immersion helmet on the market. As he throws on his clothes, his mind is already racing, plotting his relentless revenge. Tossing his jacket over his shoulder, our MC promises to change everyone's destiny, once and for all. A few hours later, the silent night has already taken over the world outside his apartment. Holding the virtual helmet, the young man vows he will crush the competition, even starting late. Without wasting any time, he slips the gear over his head and initiates a direct connection to the server. Upon entering the system, a gigantic panel appears, asking him to choose his character's starting nation. Right off the bat, the game presents the Viridian Empire, which is heavily governed by the Council of Humans. Next up are the brutal factions of the Beastmen and the dark races of demons and the undead. Even the imposing, peaceful alliance of giants crosses the screen, showing all the possible life paths. Having dedicated years of his past life to the human empire, our hero has no doubt where he needs to start. Confirming his choice, he selects the Wind Thief class to use its slick agility in combat. The system quickly prompts the player to enter their game name to register it in the database. Naming his avatar Nirvana's Flame, the MC plummets from the sky in a beam of light, straight into the starting city. Opening the status panel, the kid feels a strong wave of nostalgia seeing his stats wipe back to 0 again. To avoid making the same old mistakes, he dumps absolutely all of his initial points into pure dexterity. Strolling through the crowded square, the boy observes the frantic movements of newbies lost on the map. Analyzing the local merchants, he recalls that the basic dagger is costing an arm and a leg downtown. With a smirk, our hero knows exactly where to find the best bang for his buck outside the city center. Just then, he bumps into a player offering a stealth skill book for a measly 6 coppers. Hearing this absurd price, our guy almost faints, knowing the skill is worth way more than that. Striking up a conversation with the seller, the MC feigns surprise and confirms the ridiculous price of the magic item. In his head, he's celebrating like crazy, because this skill is the key to opening a secret chest in the cat zone. Making an offer he can't refuse, our boy promises to teach him a secret farming spot in exchange for the book for free. Thinking it's a total scam, the warrior tells him to get lost and asks where he got so much nerve. Maintaining a cool posture, the kid deduces out loud that the seller got the books by farming fallen shamans. Getting the shock of his life, the guy's eyes go wide, unable to understand how a newbie knows his biggest secret. Breaking out in a cold sweat, the warrior tries to process how a level 0 player knows the exact coordinates of that map. Realizing the advantage of closing the deal, the guy gives in immediately and hands over the skill on a silver platter. Sealing the deal, our hero gives him the perfect coordinates to farm over 10 books a day, right in the enemy's base. Thanking him profusely, the seller runs off, promising to mail him anything rare he finds. Watching his new ally disappear into the scenery, the MC flashes a satisfied smile for having made a genius deal. With the book in hand, he's hit with a strong urge to go crack open that hidden chest in the forest. Without looking back, the boy passes through the city's great gates, heading straight for danger. Crushing the book in his hands, he finally learns the stealth skill, and his body glows with a purple aura. Silently, his boots vanish into the dark mist as he activates invisible mode. Crossing the fields with stealth mode cranked to the max, the thief advances sneakily, leaving the other players eating his dust. Following a perfectly plotted route, he descends the stone slopes toward his first major target. Picking up the pace in the shadows, our hero cuts across the grassy plains like a true, relentless phantom. Soon, a grim system notification announces that he has just stepped into the dangerous zone of the level 5 wildcats. From a thick branch high above, the boy spots the golden chest, surrounded by deadly beasts patrolling the area. Assessing the situation, he remembers that the game's treasures are divided by rarity, and this one is super special. From the useless white chests to the coveted legendary ones, the reward always dictates the level of headache involved. Focusing his sharp vision, the kid confirms with certainty that he's found a super, rare silver chest, untouched by anyone on the server. Calculating the risks head on, he knows that dying at level 0 is a win, since he won't lose any experience. Activating stealth to its absolute magical limit, the MC shoots off like a purple blur into the dense forest. Leaping directly from the tree, he has only 2 short minutes to pick the lock before his camouflage runs out. Suddenly, the furious red eyes of a giant feline gleam, cutting through the darkness of the woods. With an agile dodge against slashing claws, the thief performs mid-air maneuvers worthy of a master assassin. Passing within inches of the enraged monsters, he ensures that no beast can detect his presence during the invasion. Landing perfectly on the ground, our hero finally comes face to face with the locked chest, ready for the taking. Just then, the chest progress bar begins to fill as our hero tries to stay calm to avoid breaking stealth mode. From the top of the branch, he notices the cats passing dangerously close to his position. Luckily, the lock clicks, opening the treasure lid in record time. With wide eyes, the kid can't believe what he's just found. With a victorious smile, he pulls out the Vital Strike skill book, declaring that his journey to the top starts now. Recognizing the looted item, our MC knows this spell will cut the game's difficulty in half. Without a second to spare, the book's aura glows, and the system announces that the attack skill has been learned. However, his camouflage wears off right then, and the giant, red-eyed cats spot the intruder in the tree. Smirking, the boy simply throws himself on purpose right into the middle of the ferocious pack. In a mocking tone, he thanks them out loud for guarding his treasure so well. Instantly, the beasts tear the hero to pieces, and his body turns into pixels, teleporting back to the city. Reappearing intact at the respawn point, he celebrates the quick and free trip back, since he had nothing of value to lose. Focused on the next step, the MC is already preparing the second phase of his plan for domination. Cutting through the bustling streets of the starting city, the boy knows exactly where to go. With a fresh memory of the game, our adventurer spots the perfect targets to make some cash. Right away, he accepts the hunter's quest to collect giant rat skulls. Without any messing around, he picks up another job from the farmer involving the same hunt in the Rodden area. But the real kicker happens when he talks to the alchemist, activating a secret, simultaneous quest. With a dark look, the mysterious NPC also requests parts from the rats, promising a unique reward. Near the hunting fields, a monstrous rodent with a full health bar is already eyeing its prey. In a swift advance, our hero drives his dagger straight into the beast's weak spot, activating Vital Strike. Wiped out instantly, the monster turns to smoke, dropping the exact skulls and tails needed for the quests. To the kid's surprise, a beam of light reveals that the creature also dropped a full piece of equipment. On the loot screen, the system shows a pair of sturdy leather greaves, perfect for defense. By his calculations, our MC figures that selling this armor at the auction house will bring in some good money. From there, the rampage begins, and the boy slashes through dozens of rodents using his deadly attacks. Deep into the night, flashes of red light mark each critical hit in the middle of the woods. Despite the fatigue setting in, the determination to get stronger speaks louder in the young man's mind. After an hour of pure slaughter, the adventurer returns victorious to the village gates. Upon turning in the items, the system displays the copper coins and potions earned for his hard work. In the meantime, he accesses the sales panel and puts the graves up for auction to rake in even more cash. With his pockets full, our boy's next destination is the main armory. Inside the establishment, the muscular blacksmith greets him, offering the best weapons in the western region. Straight to the point, the kid demands a specific crossbow, stating he won't pay more than 40 coppers for it. Full of pride, the merchant shows off a mechanical beauty capable of firing 3 super fast shots at once. Without batting an eye, the MC throws the coins on the counter and takes the weapon, along with gigantic packs of ammo. Outside the shop, armed to the teeth, our hero already projects the next target in his sharp mind. In a frantic sprint across the rooftops, he leaves civilization behind, heading for the dangerous wild bison zone. In that territory, the monster level crushes any reckless newbie who dares to step near. Even so, the boy maintains his cold gaze, fully trusting the tactics from his past life. From the top of a cliff, the gigantic herd of horned beasts grazes peacefully on the plain. Thanks to his class's agility, the thief climbs down the sharp rocks, looking for the ideal attack position. After reviewing the map's numbers, he finally finds the perfect blind spot that the developers never fixed. With his eyes locked on the middle of the herd, the main target stands out for its size and brutality. Sporting flaming horns, the level 5 bison leader displays its colossal health bar, ready to obliterate anyone. Positioning the crossbow in a crevice of the rock, the sniper confirms the distance is perfectly within range. Without hesitation, the young man pulls the trigger, and the first bolt cuts through the air with a deadly hum, straight for the target. On direct impact, the shot takes off a measly 1 point of health due to the absurd level difference. Smiling at the situation, the boy just reloads, remembering he brought 6,000 bolts for this little party. Furious, the monster charges head-on against the rock wall, but its horns can't reach the hero up high. Consumed by rage, the boss tries to force its way into the crack, while taking a shower of bolts to its back. Cold and calculating, our protagonist doesn't stop shooting, turning the beast into a giant pincushion. Against the wall again, the creature realizes too late that it has fallen into a game glitch where it's impossible to fight back. Without mercy, the bolts continue to sink into the animal's thick hide, which slowly loses strength. For hours, the insane repetition of shots creates a cloud of red numbers as the ammunition stock melts away. After 3 grueling hours of manual labor, the bison's health bar finally hits critical red. Drenched in sweat, the sniper can't believe the beast is still standing after swallowing 4,000 consecutive bolts. Blinded by fury, the boss tries one last desperate charge, only to take direct shots to the face. With a perfect critical hit to the skull, the giant roars in pain, echoing throughout the entire canyon. Immediately after, the beast's legs give out and its massive body collapses to the ground, kicking up a cloud of dust. With an agile leap, the thief lands near the smoking carcass of the finished-off boss. At that same moment, the system announces a shower of experience, launching the newbie from level 0 straight to level 2. Dusting off his hands, he runs to the body, focused on checking what such a strong monster dropped. By its sturdy hilt, the kid proudly lifts a bronze horn dagger, forged in the death of the leader. Aware that ranked items and high-caliber bosses are extremely rare at the start, he celebrates the massive leap in his damage. At that exact instant, the chat blinks, notifying him that his rat graves have been sold at the auction house. At the same time, the paladin warrior from the other city sends a desperate voice call, and our MC coolly answers. In total euphoria, his business partner confirms that the secret spot is real and his farming has taken off like crazy. True to his promise, the guy says he'll send rare items by mail but asks in fear how the boy knew all that, being only level 0. In a bold-faced lie, the hero claims he deleted an old, experienced character to start over from scratch. Believing the excuse, the warrior begs for a complete guide to the shaman dungeon, since his team keeps getting wiped in there. Focused on profit, our entrepreneur demands 2 silver coins up front for the tutorial. Sealing the deal, the partner accepts the price on the spot, promising to convince his guild leader to foot the bill. After ending the call, the kid dashes back to civilization, barely able to wait to reveal the stats of his new dagger. Across the great stone bridges, the young man finally arrives at the imposing gates of Telek village, ready to spend. Handing the mysterious dagger to the elf, the kid asks for a full appraisal of the item. The NPC quickly informs him that the service costs 10 copper coins to unlock the hidden attributes. In his head, our hero quickly calculates that the fee is cheap, and this bronze weapon must be worth a lot of money. Without a second thought, he drops the coins in her hand and tells her to appraise it right away. In the blink of an eye, the blade glows intensely, revealing its true, sharp form. On the screen pops up the bison horn dagger, granting an absurd bonus to strength and raw attack power. With this power in hand, the boy realizes he has become an untouchable monster for his current level. Despite the insane damage, he recognizes that he still lacks a healing skill to endure long fights. Since potions cost a fortune, the MC decides to buy the bandage skill book, which solves the problem for free. Straight to the village pharmacy, the adventurer immediately asks the merchant for 2 potions of underwater breathing. With the vials in his inventory, he fully focuses on his next deadly destination. On the map, the target this time is the immense and dangerous Rando Lake. Dashing through the scenery, the kid stealthily dodges players fighting over hunting territories. On the shore, he spots the merman village, knowing that only invisibility can save him in the midst of so many strong creatures. Suddenly, a global announcement pings on the screen, alerting that the Victorious Return Guild is about to violently clear the area. Because of his past, the MC feels anger towards this cowardly guild that loved to massacre solo players for no reason. He quickly activates his camouflage, putting the thief in ghost mode to avoid any trouble. Nearby, the aquatic monsters are already starting to tear apart the guild's lower, level members. By a stroke of bad luck, the spell's duration runs out right then, and a fireball explodes on our boy's back. Thrown by the impact, he loses health and receives an enemy attack alert on his screen. With an arrogant smile, the aggressor mage says that lone wolves are trash and can't step in that territory. With another fiery spell, the jerk tries to toast the hero, who swiftly slides under the flames. Since the enemy's spell takes 2 seconds to charge, our MC takes advantage of the opening to close the distance. In a lethal leap, the new dagger tears through the mage's chest with a brutal critical hit. Away from the target, the kid hears the guy's curses, thinking his guild owns the server. Ticked off, the caster unleashes an explosive ring of fire to push the thief away. Caught squarely by the heat wave, the adventurer takes heavy damage that nearly depletes his health bar. He quickly pulls out a basic healing potion and chugs it down to avoid dying right there. Confident in his victory, the enemy prepares another knockback attack to end the fight for good. In this clash against the wall of flames, the young man is thrown back with extreme violence. Still in mid-air, the kid calculates that his health is on the line, and any spark will send him straight to the graveyard. With a crazed yell, the mage fires the final fireball, demanding a price for challenging his faction. By a hair's breadth, the hero slides along the ground, letting the flaming death pass right by. With his fingers clenched around the hilt of his weapon, Nirvana's flame prepares the definitive counterattack. In an instant, Vital Strike rips through the air, hitting the arrogant enemy's blind spot dead on. With a mouthful of blood, the mage's eyes go wide, unable to believe that a level 2 thief took so many hits. With disdain, our MC reveals he drank a healing potion and mocks the defeated rich boy's face. Without giving him time to respond, the blade cuts deep, and the villain's body dissolves into blue fragments. With the bronze staff in hand, the survivor knows he needs to disappear before reinforcements arrive. Seconds later, the guild's cavalry shows up and is shocked to see their ally has been smoked. Furious, the goons spot the thief fleeing at full speed toward the lake's edge. With his leg muscles at their limit, our hero runs through the scenery as if there's no tomorrow. Suddenly, a colossal warrior leaps out of nowhere, bringing a giant sword down toward the boy. In an animalistic reflex, a dodge saves the MC from being sliced in half by the massive blade. Frustrated by the miss, the big guy is indignant at the absurd speed of a simple low-level newbie. Without slowing down, the fugitive pulls out the underwater breathing potion and swallows the magic liquid in one go. Behind him, the attackers activate charge and flame slash skills to try for a quick kill. With blood in their eyes, the entire group launches a synchronized, absolutely relentless attack. With a quick glance over his shoulder, the boy measures the fine line between life and a game over. In a blind leap from the cliff, his body plunges headfirst into the icy depths of the lake. In a huge explosion, the water swallows the scene, completely erasing our protagonist's trail. At the edge, the guild members curse them and their whole family line for not having diving potions in their inventory. Livid, the group's leader demands to know the name of the scoundrel who humiliated their team. At that moment, one of the henchmen reports that the defeated mage has already respawned in the city and has given a full report. Upon hearing the name Nirvana's Flame, the leader swears revenge as the hero calmly sinks into the dark waters. Submerged in the silence of the depths, the kid celebrates his escape and remembers a valuable chest hidden at those coordinates. In that total darkness, he finally finds the treasure resting on the sand of the Seabed. Inside the rusty box, the prize is a magic pearl of the merman that grants a half-hour of free breathing. Out of nowhere, a trident flies by, tearing through the water inches from the adventurer's face. Scared out of his wits, he turns his head and realizes he has invaded the deadly nest of the aquatic monsters. In desperation, the boy knows that fighting underwater is a guaranteed wipe against these savage beasts. With their eyes glowing in the gloom, the bloodthirsty mermen focus all their attention on their new prey. Meanwhile, on the surface of the aquatic village, magic is flying in a highly destructive combat. Up top, the entire guild is waging a bloody war against the sea serpents and the lake's soldiers. With a relieved smile, our hero thanks the jerks for having drawn most of the monsters up there. Through the clear path, he emerges into a secret cave and discovers the legendary island of the lake's heart. On solid ground, water drips from his body as his breath slowly returns to normal. Suddenly, a sharp scream tears through the silence of the place, and the kid runs, prepared to see what happened. Frozen, he recognizes Yahello, a healing mage who was his great combat partner in his past life. Memories of the two of them resting under the moonlight flood the boy's mind, proving that fate works in mysterious ways. Startled by the intruder's presence, the girl panics and warns him that she's being hunted by 3 brutal monsters. Before anyone can react, the beasts leap from the water with their claws, ready to tear the poor girl in half. In the blink of an eye, the MC's blade glows purple, intercepting the lethal flying attack with his vital strike. Without losing rhythm, the girl conjures holy judgment, bathing the area in purifying light. In a perfect combo of divine magic and brute force, the duo obliterates the creature in a spectacular explosion, sealing an immediate victory. Saved from imminent danger, the girl thanks him, relieved that she didn't become monster food. With a calm demeanor, our MC says it was nothing and formally introduces himself as Nirvana's Flame. Instantly, the girl's beautiful eyes widen, surprised by the player's familiar nickname. Recognizing her face, the kid connects the dots and realizes she's the famous Yahello from his real life. To confirm the alliance, the healing mage immediately sends a friend request, intending to return the favor later. With the invitation accepted on the spot, the young man asks what on earth she was doing alone in such a sinister area. Straight to the point, she tells him she needs to farm rare silk sacks from the aquatic spiders to complete a guild quest. By sheer luck, the girl already has 12 silks stored in her inventory, and hands them all over on a platter as a thank you for saving her life. Mentally, our adventurer quickly calculates that these items are worth at least 36 live copper coins on the market. Precisely because of this high value, he accepts the gift, since the girl would have lost much more money and experience if she had died there. Suddenly, the water splashes everywhere, revealing a giant lord-level spider boss, drooling with rage. Without a second thought, our MC invites the mage to his official party to share the insane gains from this unexpected battle. Pulling the dagger from its sheath, he leaps with force, landing a lethal vital strike directly on the water monster's hard carapace. Back in a safe position, Yahello readies her magic staff, invoking the powerful holy judgment from the heavens. In a blinding flash, the heavy magic smashes the top of the spider, taking off 70 health points in a single blow. Furious with the dual attack, the beast tries to retaliate with its claws, but the thief dodges in mid-air, telling his partner to jump away. Drawing all the creature's attention to himself, our hero tells the healer to focus 100% on magic damage. In an absurdly fast sequence of precise cuts, the boy tears away large chunks of the boss's health without taking a single scratch. In the first clean opening, the mage unleashes another holy strike, channeling all her celestial power from a distance. With a violent boom, the divine energy explodes directly in the monster's eyes, frying the little bit of health left in its bar. Finished off with supreme success, the Spider Lord collapses dead on the shore, yielding a blessed shower of experience for the duo. Shocked by the ease of the combat, the girl confesses with her mouth agape that she's never seen a ranked boss go down so easily. In his private thoughts, the MC smiles, remembering that their tactical synergy had always been impeccable, even in their past life. Curious about her ally's absurd skills, she asks the real reason he plays by smashing monsters all alone across the maps. The girl then lays her cards on the table and makes him an irresistible offer to join forces with her team in the deadly forest of the Ents. With his mind racing, the boy remembers from the old days that this tree dungeon is a real nightmare to get through at the beginning of the game. Straight to the point and without beating around the bush, he demands to know how many shield warriors her team has, and the crucial stats of each one. Somewhat embarrassed by the numbers, the girl reveals they have 2 tank warriors equipped with 60 defense and 150 health. Honest to a fault, our MC throws a bucket of cold water on their plans, warning that the Ent King will obliterate these newbies with a single critical hit. Completely crestfallen, the mage stammers in despair, asking how he holds such deep system information that no one has ever seen. Even after hearing the harsh truth about the guaranteed wipe, the girl insists that the guild trained for days and refuses to back down. Faced with this stubborn determination, the kid proposes the only possible solution for him to take total and absolute command of the squad during the dungeon run. Hesitant about the crazy idea, the mage admits that convincing proud players will be tough, but she swears to try and enforce the plan with all her might. Drastically changing the subject, our hero calls his partner over to check out the shiny drops the giant boss left on the lake's sand. Through a basic appraisal spell, the adventurer removes the seal from the treasure, revealing a beautiful pair of magic gauntlets made of pure silk. Since the item is restricted exclusively to the mage class, he tosses the newly dropped equipment directly into the healer's delicate hands. To complete the fair split, the boy pockets the valuable spider materials along with the coveted assassinate skill book, which is focused on the thief class. Beaming as she hugs her new bronze accessory, Yahello celebrates this stealthy encounter that cleared her main quest by a total fluke. Right at the peak of her smile, the system panel throws a giant red sign in the sky, warning that the servers will shut down completely in exactly 3 minutes. With big waves, the girl disappears in a blue light, saying goodbye from a distance and hoping to meet her savior in the next update. Satisfied with the day's bountiful loot, our protagonist presses log off, dissolving his body into shimmering pixels and returning to harsh reality. Back in the real world, the obnoxious rays of the morning sun flood through the window of his small, messy apartment. Hurriedly putting on his worn-out sneakers, the young man formulates a new line of reasoning. Just getting buff inside the virtual helmet is a one-way ticket to an early grave. Aware that the criminal empire of the mobster Cao Shu has henchmen all over the globe, the kid vows to forge his own human body into a living, lethal weapon. Minutes after this promise, his swift feet are already pounding the asphalt of the bustling sidewalks in the broad daylight of the big city. In the middle of his training, crossing the street without paying attention, A giant cargo truck blares its demonic horn, its bumper heading straight for his forehead. In an animalistic jolt of adrenaline and survival, he throws himself backward, taking a nasty fall as the rig screeches to a halt, a mere 2 millimeters from his body. Still dazed, feeling his scraped knee and hands, a soft female voice desperately screams his name, cutting through the avenue's alarm. As he lifts his dizzy head, he's startled to see the delicate features of his classmate, Si Yao, running desperately from her car to help him. With anguish in her eyes, the girl gently holds his injured hand, giving him a light scolding for walking like he was blind in the middle of a busy street. She promptly helps the shaken young man to the luxurious door of her own imported car, assuring him she has a lifesaver first aid kit under the seat. As the blood clots, the MC gets lost in memories of his first life, where this sweet student suffered at the financial hands of Tao Zhu, and he was too much of a coward to save her. As the antiseptic spray stings his scrapes, the girl repeats her motherly scolding, demanding he get a grip and stop being so careless on the sidewalks. In that millisecond of dense silence, their brown and green eyes lock completely, ignoring the cars whizzing by behind the glass. In a slightly teasing and charming tone, the boy states that she's still beautiful even when she's stressed, making her cheeks instantly flush. Red with pure rage and hidden embarrassment, she returns the cute insult, slams the passenger door hard, and takes off, peeling out down the hill. Now alone, gripping the steering wheel, the blonde girl replays the facts in her mind, noticing how that isolated boy is acting all cocky, just like her virtual partner from the game. With his eyes narrowed at the end of the street, watching the fancy car, the MC knows that heck will freeze over before he allows the future mobster to touch a single hair on her head. Suddenly, the sharp sound of a vibration tears through his pants pocket, where his hysterical best friend, Tang Yao, is already yelling his head off on speakerphone, demanding to know why he disappeared for so long. His heart softening in that instant, the kid forgives his busted eardrums, and is deeply grateful to hear the shrill tone of his trench buddy. With the sad movie of the past playing in his head, the hero recalls when this old friend lost his life in a mere bar fight over some shallow woman in the dark. On the steps of the wide avenue, Tang Yao finds the boy and immediately puts him in a playful, intimate headlock, like a doting older brother. During a quick break at the corner cafe, the blonde partner asks the classic question about his digital addictions, and the MC immediately shows off his level 2 thief status. With his chest puffed out in pride, the blonde guy shows that he has reached the powerful rank of a level 3 arcane mage, and immediately drags his partner by the collar to the PK lounge down the street. Inside the noisy tech hub, addicts are sunk into simulators, fighting each other by perfectly importing their character levels without dying on the real server. Only the clandestine betting wheels add to the heavy atmosphere of the warehouse, as rich kids put their hard-earned weapons from the late-night grind on the line in direct duels. Just past the ticket counter, a well-dressed guy named Wei Kai slams his glass on the bar, delighted to see the snack-buying blonde walk through the club's doors. Looking into our quiet MC's eyes, the jerk also makes a point of announcing loudly that last week's beatdown by the goons didn't teach him any manners. With a furious expression to protect his freshman friend, Tang Yao gruffly says to ignore them, because in the sanctuary of the electronic booths, their hands are tied by the contract. From the corner of the snobby clique, the rich kid's loyal sidekick questions the cold, impassive tone of the MC, who doesn't even seem like that crybaby from their scared school days. Giving no attention to the rich losers, the blonde sits in the chair, powers up the beast of a machine, and throws a heavy bet of 200 whole coppers on the table. On the colossal central scoreboard of the arena, the match announces sudden death, pitting the fragile strength of the arcane mage against the brute monstrosity of the level 3 berserker. With his arms crossed focused on the glowing panel, our MC foresees his friend's grim fate, going head to head against an unstoppable body, charged skill from the greatsword. In addition to the class weakness, the artificial intelligence had painstakingly recreated a flat plane of short grass, robbing the mage of any corner to escape the armed carnage. With annoying taps on his shoulder, the kid hears a second pretty boy with blue hair immediately offer a lucrative 1v1 bet, since the blonde was sure to end up in the mud. Staying calm, the hero accepts the duel but warns that a piddly bet isn't worth his time. Filled with rage, the blue-haired goon takes the bait, and throws 700 coins on the table to teach the newbie a lesson. On the giant screen, the match is confirmed, pitting the level 2 thief against the level 2 fighter in the virtual arena. The avatars are quickly transported to a dense bamboo forest, full of perfect shadows for hiding. Without wasting a millisecond, the MC activates his stealth magic and vanishes from the map completely. Only the sound of the wind rustling the leaves breaks the silence of the scene, as the enemy searches blindly. In a feline acrobatic move, our boy leaps through the branches, observing his lost opponent below, cursing at nothing. In the middle of the clearing, the fighter spins around, desperate to find any clue of his disappearance. Hidden in the shadows, the kid smiles, aware that 10 years of experience as an assassin have made this tactic second nature to him. In a silent dive, the purple blade cuts through the wind, descending directly onto the distracted goon's back. With a dull thud, the blow hits the blind spot, taking off an absurd 40 health points in an instant. Startled, the fighter turns his head, feeling the cold edge of the dagger, not understanding how the guy appeared behind him. Cold and calculating, the hero declares that playtime's over and prepares the lethal vital strike to finish the job. In an explosion of critical damage, the attack rips off another 70 points, wiping out the opponent's health bar. Like lightning, the system screen pings, confirming the thief's overwhelming victory in the blink of an eye. With an aura of victory, the young man sheathes his weapon, maintaining the posture of an untouchable veteran. On the other side, the goon's connection is severed as his avatar dissolves into fragments of light after the instant death. Outside the booths, the audience is in shock, unable to believe the fight ended in less than 1 minute. Stepping out of the machine, the boy comments mockingly that wiping a newbie fighter was almost too easy. Defeated and sweating, the opponent stares at his own helmet, unable to process how he got taken down by a one-hit combo. Seeing the scene, the well-dressed rich kid frowns, questioning since when that cowardly boy became so decisive. For the first time, the clique of rich boys realizes that their old punching bag no longer bows his head to anyone. Beaming with joy, the blonde friend runs to hug the champion, asking how he pulled off that magic trick. Aware of the game's tactics, our hero explains that the berserker's anti-magic aura completely broke his friend's defense earlier. Giving a combat lesson, the kid reveals that it was just a matter of timing the dodge right to avoid the brute attack. Impressed, the blonde guy asks where on earth his partner got so much technical knowledge about the system. Ignoring the question, the MC extends a firm hand right in the loser's face, demanding the bet money immediately. Humiliated in front of his bosses, the goon gets up furiously and yells, asking what the arrogant newbie's deal is. Losing his cool, the guy tries to get physical in the middle of the lounge, promising to break the hero's face. In an absurd reflex, our protagonist's hand intercepts the punch mid-air, locking the aggressor's wrist like a steel clamp. With a perfect leverage move, the boy throws the brute on his back onto the hard arcade floor with a loud thud. Pulling from his memory, he remembers the insane martial arts training he did in his past life to defend himself from the mafia. Startled, the blonde friend takes a step back, not understanding where so much raw strength came from in that skinny body. Outraged by the move, the blue-haired boss calls the hero a coward for hitting a useless lackey. Staring at his prey, the rich boy clearly perceives that the kid in front of him is a completely different person. Without any fear, the MC questions if the rich kid is just upset because his goon got beaten badly in front of everyone. Swallowing his pride, the leader downplays the defeat, saying his friend is weak and not a good benchmark for anything. Straight to the point, the young man proposes a fair fight but warns that he'll only get in the booth if the money is high. Taking the bait, the villain sets the price at 1,000 coins per match, for a total of 3,000 on the table to crush the newbie. With a mocking smile, the hero holds up 3 fingers and agrees on the spot to settle the 3,000 in a single round. Ticked off by the audacity, the well-dressed guy accepts the crazy bet, doubting that a level 2 rogue can turn the world upside down. Desperate, the blonde shakes his partner's shoulder, asking if he's lost his mind and where he's going to get that much money. Being brutally honest, the kid asks to borrow the money from his friend, guaranteeing there's no chance he'll lose. Grumbling about going down with the ship, the partner transfers the coppers, and the 2 competitors log into the server for the battle. Immediately, the arena loads the high grass plain map, placing the avatar's face to face under the open sun. Outside the booth, the partner is suffering from anxiety, knowing that this open terrain is the worst nightmare for any stealth class. Feigning pity, the rich kid offers to change the map, playing nice with the opponent who has nowhere to hide. Flatly refusing, the rogue says the tall grass is fine and immediately activates his invisibility skill, disappearing into the breeze. Across the vast plain, the warrior's silhouette waits patiently, his giant sword ready to slice the wind. With his eyes closed, the berserker tries to track any false step from the invisible enemy around him. In the villain's mind, the plan is foolproof because the tall grass will bend and give away the thief's exact position as he moves. Aware of this trap, our hero calculates that he needs to use the force of nature itself to mask his steps in the vegetation. Exactly when a gust of wind hits, bending the grass, the rich boy completely loses visual reference of his target. Spinning his sword in a violent arc, the warrior tries a blind attack to ward off any nearby threats. Frustrated, the well-dressed guy curses, his strategy ruined by the opponent's absurd mastery of stealth mode. Frozen in the middle of the grass, the MC plants his feet whenever the wind stops, ensuring his position remains undetectable. Sweating, the rich kid deduces that the enemy is advancing slowly and must be right in front of him, waiting to pounce. In a stronger gust, the wind blows through the villain's blue hair as he prepares to strike on the next breeze. In the blink of an eye, the rogue's blade appears out of nowhere, slashing the opponent's back and drawing virtual blood instantly. Thrown forward, the berserker doesn't understand how that scoundrel managed to circle all the way around and attack from behind. Out of a survival instinct, the warrior unleashes the Cyclone Slash skill, creating a tornado of blades to sweep the area. Grazed by the attack, the hero loses 90 health points but notices that the giant sword leaves the enemy locked in place for a second after the spin. Focused on this tiny opening, the boy knows that this small delay is the key to his total victory. Sticking the heavy blade into the ground, the rich boy becomes vulnerable, exactly as our rogue predicted. Taking advantage of the perfect window, the kid dashes through the short grass toward the completely exposed target. In a brutal charge, Vital Strike pierces the berserker's ribs, lighting up the screen with a devastating critical hit. Far from the arena, the blonde partner's eyes widen, stunned by the absurd perfection of his friend's attack timing. Flying backward, the villain spits blood as his health bar plummets to a mere 34 critical points. Consumed by extreme hatred, the rich boy invokes Flame Slash in a suicidal attempt to turn the tables. Bringing down a giant pillar of fire, he tries to incinerate the rogue, who is already right up against his body. Yelling from the stands, his friend tells the MC to get out of the way before he turns into virtual ashes. Keeping an eye on his own high health, the hero decides to take the damage on purpose, just so he doesn't lose the advantage of close range. On direct impact, the flames take off 56 health points but fail to knock our boy down. Perplexed by the audacity, the rich kid calls his opponent arrogant for tanking the spell head on without retreating a single millimeter. Preparing the finishing blow, the warrior raises his glowing sword to unleash the feared line slash, tearing through the air with everything he's got. Descending from the sky with the force of a comet, the berserker activates his brutal charge with the clear intention of crushing his opponent. Outside the arena, the blonde friend despairs, knowing this skill causes a guaranteed stun if it hits squarely. In the very last millisecond, the thief slides under the heavy blow as the giant blade rips through the air, right next to his nose. Taking advantage of the dead space created by the attack, the boy reverses his dagger grip, ready for retaliation. Spinning his body in a deadly spiral, the thief crosses the warrior's defense lines, delivering imperceptible blows. In a flash of light and shadow, the exchange of blows ends in the blink of an eye, and silence falls over the plain. Before the rich kid's heavy body even hits the ground, the damage counter explodes on the screen, sealing the match's fate. Finishing his pose, the hero spits blood from the previous attack, but raises a victorious gaze after planting his knife in the enemy's heart. In the center of the screen, the panel radiates the sacred announcement, declaring the absolute victory of the level, 2 kid over a big shot. Behind the railing, the crowd at the arcade club is left completely speechless, shocked by the improbable massacre they just witnessed. Ripping off the immersion helmet, the blue-haired leader trembles from head to toe, denying the reality of his own failure. Overjoyed, the blonde partner jumps up to hug the MC and mercilessly taunts the defeated goons. Thirsty for that level of power, the blonde guy is already begging for arcane mage training in the middle of the crowded lounge. Breaking the festive mood, the rich kid approaches with a stern face, and the MC's partner immediately steps in front, ready for the worst. Unlike his previous arrogant posture, the villain admits his clean defeat and surprises everyone by inviting the kid for a drink at his bar. Gathering his troops, the rich boy says goodbye, leaving the door open for the newbie to join his clique of rich kids whenever he wants. Outside, the blonde questions why on earth his partner was so gentle with the jerk who wanted to stomp on their necks. Thinking ahead, the MC explains that powerful enemies are a problem in the real world, so leaving their pride intact is purely a survival strategy. In the dead of night, the pale moonlight illuminates the window of our young dreamer's tiny apartment. Shirtless, the boy is dripping with sweat, doing insane sets of push-ups, vowing to forge his muscles beyond human limits. After his workout, he analyzes his own body, reflecting that this young frame is the greatest advantage his new life has given him. Putting on the immersion gear, he prepares to fulfill the dangerous contract he signed in the Forest of the Ents. Connected to the game server, his avatar appears amidst the green fields like a shimmering mirage. Messages quickly pop up on the screen with friend requests from the skill merchant and fat deposits of silver coins in his account. Mentally, he devises the perfect plan to guide the big shots and sell the dungeon's secrets, making a fortune in the coming weeks. Before meeting up with the group, the thief decides to finish a side quest and cash in on the pending rewards. Crossing the square, the boy goes straight to Alchemist Blevins, striking up a conversation to unlock the hidden part of the task. Satisfied with the extremely rare silk sacks delivered, the elderly NPC gives a huge smile, promising to pay back the effort twofold. In a blink, green light covers the thief, and the system announces he has acquired the rare intermediate combat bandage for free. With his healing skill fortified, the hero celebrates the genius of his past life memory, which gave him the hidden prize without any effort. Not stopping there, the old man informs him that the quest is a chain and requires even more silks to deliver the final reward jewel. At that exact moment, the guild chat blinks with Yahello begging the boy to show up and save her team for good. Emerging from the teleportation circle, the thief appears majestically in the city center along with the crowd of players. Up ahead, his friend Tang Yao, dressed as an arcane mage, gets his attention to introduce the full squad. Next to the central fountain, a robust and well-equipped group anxiously awaits the orders of the So, called Tactical Genius. When Yao Yao points to the kid, the team leader Yulan is impressed by the calm, veteran-like posture the newbie exudes. Drooling over the girls, the blonde guy nudges the MC to ask since when he's been attracting high-level female players. Red as a tomato, the healer discreetly warns him that she forced this to happen, so the kid better not mess up. However, in the midst of the warriors, the envious Chen Bo turns up his nose, finding it absurd to have some little punk ordering them around. Completely blinded by jealousy and pride, he thinks the hero's calmness is just a cheap act to get the attention of the guild leaders. Straight to the point and without any sympathy, the thief announces that everyone there will follow his orders, period. Silence and shock take over the squad, who never imagined such a blunt and authoritarian approach on a first meeting. Unable to stand the attitude, the rebellious warrior crosses his arms and yells, asking why they should listen to some random stranger. In an attempt to make peace, the leader Yulan apologizes for her colleague's outburst, trying to keep the atmosphere positive. Firm and unyielding, the strong woman orders the thief to create the party and tells her subordinates to tone it down immediately. Ignoring the whining, the MC reinforces that anyone who causes trouble or a purposeful death in the middle of battle will be kicked out and shamed on the spot. Subsequently, invitations pop up on their screens, and one by one, the names of the 9 team members linked to the party system. Bathed in sunlight, the commander swears severe punishment if anyone tries to mess with the formation or disregard the specialist's commands. Swallowing hard, the Hothid clicks accept on the interface with blood in his eyes, cursing every comma of the contract. In a stroke of genius, the boy changes the rule and promises 10 silver coins from his own pocket to each person if the team fails because of his orders. Like magic, the girl's eyes widen at the billionaire-level self-confidence of a simple, low-level thief. With a mocking smile, Yao Yao pulls her colleague aside, confirming that this kid doesn't bluff and has plenty of experience. Getting down to tactics, the MC demands the full names, defense, and attack attributes of each essential member of the squad. With their heavy armor gleaming, the 2 shield bearers introduce themselves, revealing a mediocre defense of 61 damage. One by one, the mages, archers, and healers report their weak stats based on beginner-level newbie equipment. After scanning everyone's weaknesses, the thief points a finger in each warrior's face and dictates the exact potions they need to buy from the market. Startled by the absurd request, the frontline tanks complain that those items are too expensive for a common hunt. From the back of the group, the envious one lets out a mocking laugh, questioning the outlandish tactics where the team needs to get drunk on magic potions to not die. Smiling maliciously, the blonde friend steps on the cocky warrior's toes, asking if he's too poor to afford the items. Completely torn up inside, the goon nearly draws his sword in the square, trying to intimidate the group while receiving cold stares from his own leader. Disappointed, the healer nudges the MC, asking in a whisper if such a large investment in supplies is worth the miserable experience of a normal difficulty run. In a dry, low tone, the boy tells her to swallow her worries, because he's going to switch on expert mode and clear the hardcore dungeon in one go. After finishing their shopping, the group of 10 soldiers leaves the city's great gates, heading towards the dense forest of the talking trees. At the edge of the map, dozens of teams fail in their attempt to invade the territory, cursing the developers for the monstrous strength of the enemies. Cutting past the amateurs, the thief pushes forward, heading toward the enormous sacred stone that guards the barrier to the main event. Recalling the legend of the elven fairies, he presses his right palm on the mossy relief, reading the ancient tales carved into the rough granite. Without thinking, the system options appear before him in vibrant colors, ranging from the trivial easy level to the insane master level. Instantly, a roar echoes from the depths, swallowing the team of 10 players in a bright whirlwind of forced teleportation. Fallen in the dark forest, the gloom of expert mode displays red warnings on the screen, causing total panic among those still trying to adjust their armor. Terrified by the glowing eyes hidden in the bushes, everyone in the squad freezes upon noticing the impossible challenge icon on the warning screen. Shrewdly, the leader Yulan observes the thief's behavior, concluding in her mind that this boy had orchestrated everything perfectly for this exact outcome. Out of control, the cowardly warrior jumps forward, screaming accusations that the newbie selected the terror mode with the intention of getting the guild killed for some petty revenge. Solid as a rock and with ice-cold eyes, our MC says that if anyone is scared of the dark, the exit is right behind them. Seeing the blatant aggression, Yao Yao confronts her jerky colleague, asking if he wants to get torn to shreds right at the entrance. Cowardly and humiliated, the wannabe knight lowers his voice, denying any fights as the darkness of the woods closes in more and more around the entire group. With his arms crossed, the rebellious warrior scoffs, finding it absurd that the healer is defending the cocky newbie's actions tooth and nail. Explaining the level difference, the boy reveals that expert mode only increases the monster's health by 80% compared to hard mode. In her head, the squad leader thinks that this thief treats extreme dungeons like a walk in the park. With no fear of failing miserably, totally confident, he pats Yaya's shoulder and tells the group to relax because success is already set in stone in those trees. Annoyed by the snobbish tone, the knight crosses his arms with a strained smile, wanting to see the newbie fall flat on his face up ahead. Advancing into the darkness, the dense forest seems to watch the group's every step like a giant, silent predator. In a second, the kid's intuition goes off, and he yells for the entire squad to spread out because they've entered the Ent's attack range. Without giving them time to breathe, thick vines plummet from above, whipping the ground and forcing everyone to jump to the sides in a deadly fright. With wide eyes, the cowardly guy almost becomes pulp, getting grazed by the monstrous root that pierces the soil. With a loud snap, the wooden tentacles rip through the leaves, proving that the strength difference in this difficulty is completely absurd. Before the terrified newbies, a colossal and darken emerges from the shadows, its mouth open, ready to slaughter the intruders. Blinded by panic, the knight trips over his own cape as the wooden claws advance furiously toward his face. Fallen on the dirty ground, he completely forgets his pride, screaming for help from the very leader he had just slandered. With his knees locked, the sinister root stops millimeters from his nose, blocked in the blink of an eye by the strength of the entire team. With a piercing yell, the MC barks precise orders for the shield line to advance and hold the monster's weight by force while the mages prepare a crossfire. Following the order, the big warrior grits his teeth, planting his heavy shield in the earth and enduring the first thunderous impact from the macabre tree. Slamming the second shield next to him, the other tank forms the perfect steel barrier, creating the necessary containment wall for the squad. At the back of the line, the casters unleash a show of lights and elemental rays, burning the monster's thick bark from all directions. With dozens of brilliant spells, the final explosion blows the Ent to pieces, emptying the plant beast's entire health bar in an instant. The hollow body of the tree falls heavily, releasing green smoke from the rough impact, proving the monstrous efficiency of the synchronized attack. Recharging his energy, the fallen jerk gets up angrily, accusing the hero of setting up the ambush on purpose for him to die first. In a mocking tone, the MC laughs at his stupidity, asking how the heavy shield warriors dodged cleanly while he was the one who got hit. Humiliated in front of the girls, the whiner points his finger at everyone, trying to blame his slowness on the team. With zero patience, the warrior chief cuts the drama short, telling him to shut up because he's already embarrassed himself enough. Turning his back on the useless fight, the MC tells them to pay attention, that the entire forest is a minefield left by the dark elves in ancient times. With a quick wave of his hand, he tells the gang to follow his lead, vowing to disarm the entire enemy line every 10 steps. Following the crazy route through the thicket, the team avoids obvious gaps to entrust their lives to the thief's blind steps. Suddenly, the hero's silent step locks his boot on the grass, stopping dead in his tracks without blinking. Without warning, the kid pulls out his dagger, scratching the shimmering blade just a few centimeters from the ground in a swift arcs. In a bright magical explosion, the blade destroys the circuits of a complex luminous trap that popped up right there, startling them. On the final impact of the magic cut, the glowing web flickers and shatters in the air like broken glass, clearing the path again. Jaw dropped, the blonde partner whispers loudly, praising the insane speed the MC uses to find the ground wire of the ancient spells. Astonished and proud, Yulan raises an eyebrow, acknowledging that his insane success rate in cleaning up the mess is worth every coin of the contract. Driven by rotten jealousy, the knight snorts, crossing through the remaining dust and saying that any idiot can clear a visible trap in an instant. Proving his arrogant theory, the idiot steps hard on an irregular stone off the safe path drawn by the boy. Instantly, the earth cracks and shadows pull at the ground, opening the mouth of a deadly hole with its bottom lined with sharp steel stakes. Plunging headfirst into the abyss, the coward's eyes bulge, seeing the end of the line flash before his face in a fraction of a second. In a surefire pounce, the MC's agile hand intercepts the fool's slipping foot, holding the guy's body weight on the very tips of his fingers. With his arm stretched taut, the hero levers the big guy up, ripping him from the pit of death only to throw his carcass against a tree. Without a drop of empathy on his face, the thief calls the stressed out knight a useless bag of trash, loud and clear, in front of everyone. Completely distraught and spitting dust, the jerk screams that this was the thief's plan to kill him in a staged accident. Furious with the nerve, the blonde guy lays into him verbally, reminding him that the useless fool would already be toast if his hand hadn't prevented the fatal fall. Cold and frighting, our MC gets in the enemy's face, stating that if the problem is to be solved with blades, his guild can deal with the consequences. Consumed by animalistic fury, the rival pulls the greatsword from its sheath, screaming for a duel to the death to clear his own honor on hard mode. With a clenched fist, the kid accepts on the spot, pulling out his purple dagger, ready to shred this imbecile and continue the dungeon in peace. Faced with the accepted challenge, the MC taunts the enemy, suggesting he call his faction buddies because killing him alone will be boring and pathetic. Humiliated to the bone, the rich boy swallows hard, speechless against the raw, unshakable confidence overflowing from this seemingly mediocre kid. Breaking the tension, the warrior chief Yulan steps forward, fire in her eyes, and kicks the coward out on the spot, warning that this sabotage has gone too far. Indignant and blinded by pride, the goon points to the silent guild members, demanding to know how the entire team sold out to some random thief. One after another, his allies lower their heads, admitting that he had been a pain beyond measure, creating chaos and disorder out of a pure bruised ego. Aware of the unanimous defeat, the fool laughs like a madman, saying he'll wait in the city for the team's complete failure in the master dungeon. With patience exhausted, the screen flashes, registering the player's expulsion from the squad as his body evaporates from the server in blue beams. In a somewhat awkward atmosphere, the MC tells Yahello to relax, as he himself didn't know that carrying that dead weight would be a headache so soon. In his mind, he ponders the immense importance of quickly forming his own group to rake in team treasures in the future. Resolutely, Yulan rallies the group's spirits again, promising to settle their differences once the Master Int's chest is looted. A tense half-hour walk brings the team face to face with the main, impassable blockade, teeming with twisted wooden guardians. Holding the group back, the thief warns that there's no way to tank 18 of these furious abominations at once, or they'll get wiped in seconds and turn to dust. Without hesitation, the hero's worn black boot steps back into the shadows, instantly activating his invisible form right in front of the girls. Gliding perfectly smooth in the dark, he pulls the mechanical crossbow from his back at a killer angle, aiming its tip at the distracted guardians. With a silent spin, his precise fingers adjust the taut strings as he meticulously aims for the open gaps in the tallest monsters' bellies. Gritting his teeth in concentration, our sniper tells everyone over the comms to open their eyes wide for a masterclass in supreme awesomeness. Tucked under his arm, the silver crossbow launches its bolts with a sharp noise, tearing through the cold wing to embed themselves in the massive trunks in a straight line. In trajectories so perfect they're almost absurd, the arrows ricochet off the gaps in the wood like guided projectiles, ignoring the thick barrier of darkness. Behind the bushes, the tanks watch the sorcery, incredulous, thinking the guy's hands slipped, and doomed the expedition with a clumsy shot into the wind. Completely relaxed after the acrobatic feat, he passes the tactical positions to the group to prepare their firewalls, amused by the squad's lost expressions. In a senseless fury, dozens of red ants break through the jungle's invisible barrier, roaring and throwing heavy punches, drawn like dumb bees to the pack's base. In the dark, two beastly trees turn startled, focusing with animalistic intensity on the source marked by the silent sniper's arrow in the back branches. Agip, the chief Yulan whispers to the heavens, saying she hit the jackpot with a divine player capable of controlling beasts by hitting specific points, just like in fairy tales. Beaming, Yahello defends her favorite, stating that the guy is immune to failure, possessing the calculating intelligence of the greatest assassin lords to ever walk the earth. With round eyes fixed on the lights, the healer reflects on the historic turn in the faction's path, questioning if the hidden level of strength there challenges the very god of games. Commanding the brute assault, the sharp orders tell the horned warrior to block the front line alone, forgetting everything he knew about instinct to hold out until the very end. Blindly following the heavy fire command, magic rains down like a storm on the cracked bark, turning ancient defenses into glittering dust in seconds. Taking advantage of the destructive shock, the thief bursts from the shadows, crossing like a human spear in a purple explosion, activating vital strikes that mutilate the rest of the loose branches. In the heat of the fight, the shield warrior speaks up, celebrating the brilliant maneuvers, as the suicidal balance tactic recommended by the newbie worked like a miracle. Filled with confidence, Yulan swings her golden sword, advancing from the platoon and celebrating that the group has already steamrolled the right flank, pushing hard for the kill on the reinforcements on the other side. Focusing their incantations in a straight line, the mages in the rear fire a concentrated beam, sweeping away the Ents under the command of the guild leader. With nowhere to escape, the horde of wooden beasts collapses, turning into shimmering dust under the combined force of the newly united group. As a reward for the carnage, the server throws a shower of magic items on the screen, falling like treasures directly onto the dense forest floor. On her knees, the warrior Yulan almost cries as she picks up a pair of rare bronze bracers, remembering that on easy level, they only got dust. In a charming taunt, Yahello gets close to the MC, reminding him that he said he was the supreme guide to turn that inferno into a walk in the park. Regaining his morale, the kid raises his hand and guarantees that by maintaining that impeccable tactic, the entire forest will be nothing more than an XP farm. After 30 minutes of swallowing waves of monsters, the dark clearing is clean, with only burnt stumps and shattered branches remaining. At the end of the cleanup, another massive int collapses, kicking up dirt and dropping more epic loot into the group's open bags. Euphoric with the absurd efficiency of the slaughter, the blonde mage admires his partner, who's dividing the drops, proving he truly is a living legend of the server. During a quick break, the squad rests under the giant oaks, piling up high-caliber equipment that used to cost an arm and a leg. Using his stealth magic, our MC vanishes from the camp, cutting through the undergrowth to the north until he runs into a mysterious wall covered in poisonous vines. Analyzing the worn runes on the stone, the kid smirks, realizing he has just activated the exclusive path to one of Conviction's biggest secrets. Returning in seconds, he summons the entire troop, guaranteeing that was just the warm up and the real jewels are still buried deeper. Guiding his partners to the east, the thief leads the way, tearing through the dark crevices that would lead unsuspecting newbies straight into the lap of the furious Ink King. Confused, Yulan grabs his arm, asking why on earth they abandoned the main trail, unaware that the kid's goal is precisely to unearth the forest's secret history. After minutes of walking in total darkness, the faint, melancholic sound of an ancient flute cuts through the funereal silence of the terrifying jungle. Tracking the whisper of the musical notes, the squad discovers a small, luminous oasis with the presence of a solitary wise old man playing the instrument on a rock. Immediately, the MC recalls all the internet forums, identifying the old man as Ann Pate, the true shepherd of the forest dungeon. In the advanced guides from his other life, this elder is portrayed as the peaceful, ancient guardian who maintained the balance between humans and the Ents in those sacred woods. In the past, the jungle overflowed with harmony until the devastating and corrupt arrival of the cursed Dark Elf faction, spreading dark magic across the land. Dominated by brutal mind spells, the tree royalty lost their reason, and the forest became the carnivorous scene that terrifies current explorers. Without a second to spare, the old man points to the moonlight, panickedly telling the group to flee because at nightfall, the Ent King awakens, 10 times more monstrous and murderous. With a noble posture, the MC swears on his life before the old man that his team will crush the rotten king and free the sanctuary from the dark curse for good. Shocked by the audacity, the sage says in tears that the true cowardly sinners are the dark elves who hide in the shadows, stealing peace from everyone. At the back of the platoon, the group whispers, finding it bizarre how the hero engages in dramatic conversations tied to a hidden quest ignored by 99% of the server's players. Proud of his partner, Tang Ya laughs, convinced that his skinny friend has reached the pinnacle of intuition, becoming a sort of automatic radar for rare secrets. To tie up the act, our thief raises his arm in a military salute and vows to hunt the cursed elves for the glory of the sacred trees and the peace of that map. Handing over the key to victory, the NPC pours a handful of shining dust into the boy's palm, explaining that the item cancels any invisibility magic used by dark creatures. With the item in his bag, the system interface glows, displaying the description of the Powder of Revelation, the famous absolute counter capable of revealing any monster in an absurdly large radius. Fully armed against an ambush, the boy yells commands for the warriors to pick up the pace, following the collision course with the pointy-eared aberrations. Without warning, the leader hooks a grappling hook into a crevice, climbs an immense rock, and pulls up a climbing rope, stretching the path up the smooth black mountain face. Climbing with the pure agility of his level, he passes the line to the girls and the heavy brutes to attach their harnesses for the insane and dangerous ascent. Behind him, the group pants with exhaustion, with the healer asking, sweating, if those mediocre pointy ears are worth such an effort of blind climbing in middle of the night. Reaching the freezing plateau, the full moon reveals a rock bridge suspended over a chasm that seems to descend straight into the stomach of the virtual underworld. Aiming at the stone ruins carved into the opposite cliff, the hero swears in a deadly whisper that he will bag the scoundrels like rats caught in a trap. Questioned again about how he's so sure of the enemy's position, the kid explains that the dark henchmen have been pursuing them since the gates of expert mode. With a jolt of panic, Yaya grabs her partner's sleeve, horrified at having been hunted like prey in the dark without seeing a single shadow move. In a calm, icy tone, the MC announces that the Gatcrasher's party has already begun, with enemy feet slipping on the sharp rocks of the gorge right there. Demanding total focus from the attackers, he lays out the strategy, ordering the squad to decimate the infiltrators in less than 5 seconds, or the counter-attack will be fatal. In a sick stealth move, the grim shadow of 2 scouts stretches the darkness, falling like black smoke through the corners of the silent cave. Seeing the endless cave, the enemy duo runs on tiptoe, aiming for the unsuspecting backs of the group's rear guard, huddled together like sheep ready for slaughter. Exactly when the enemy boot steps on the central stone, the boy raises the distilled vial, releasing the cosmic powder in an explosive, theatrical movement. In a shimmering shockwave, the powder's light sweeps the chasm, instantly peeling away the camouflage of the invading mages on the rocky wall of the gorge. Desperate and exposed, the 2 metamorphosed goblins curse the winds, feeling their advantages melt away like snow on the loose rocks. In a furious recovery maneuver, one of the pale archers charges forward, roaring like a terrified beast, to try and stab the healer in a total surprise attack. Smiling like the devil, our tank warrior jumps from the shadows, slamming the front of his shield into the elf's chest. yelling that he had been waiting for this cowardly move for hours. Flying backward from the impact of the steel, the creature tries to dig its claws into the rock while Tang Ya rolls up the sleeves of his long, red overcoat. In a combined incantation, two mages focus their mana on the glowing staff, conjuring the perfect barrier to crush the invaders on the precipice. With the force of destruction at his fingertips, the blonde guy throws a giant sphere of flames, aiming for the cornered enemy's tight escape route. Trapped in the infernal fire, the dark elf screams, crushed by the heat, his entire health bar melting amidst a shrill and deafening tantrum. Realizing his partner's demise, the survivor spins his body and sticks his dagger in a bush, preparing a futile leap into the deep darkness. Waking from her lethargy, Yulan rallies the troops, ordering everyone to unload their magical arsenal on the back of the pale lizard running like a madman. Exactly at the edge of the fall, the MC cuts to the side, invisible, and kicks the fugitive's ankle, preventing the escape jump at the very last millisecond. Spinning his dagger in a short duel of steel, the hero deflects the beast's counterattack, blocking and breaking the desperate target's fragile defense in a deadly spin. In a spectacular finale, Vital Strike rips through the creature's neck, scattering the dark dust all over the mountain, sealing the second and final kill. At the moment of the fall's impact, the corpse releases the famous Int's flute, a super rare treasure, rolling across the sharp rocks and emitting an enchanted hiss. Snatching the relic in mid-air, the kid lets out a long whistle, dusting it off and celebrating the gain of a priceless jewel for the definitive victory in the dungeon. Showing the stats to the group, the rogue guarantees that with that magic music, the Ant King boss would be weakened by half, becoming a rag doll in the team's hands. Interrupting the party, Yao Yao's eyes widen in amazement at a sealed envelope floating next to the corpse dust, marking the immediate start of more dark mysteries. Taking the stained letter, the MC tears the seal, confirming that the mountain hunt dropped none other than the deadly ambush plans of the hidden enemy themselves. Plunging his gaze into the papers, the thief utters prophetic words, announcing the system has officialized a secret mission to warn the allied army of the invasion. Shocked by the elven calligraphy, Yao Yao questions how he reads archaic languages, and the kid brushes it off, saying he just needs to hand it to the royalty after the Ant King bites the dust. With the troops' morale through the roof, the shield warrior raises his dagger, shouting in celebration at the surreal amount of gifts dropped by the jerk elves. Surprising everyone, the kid kicks the divine flute into the tank's hand and calmly announces that the noisy trinket would grant him an extra 300 health for free. Without letting the group breathe, Yulan raises her glowing sword and points the troop straight to the bottom of the Howling Valley, demanding the final head of the feared boss of the area. Running side by side, the hero's blonde friend can't hide his crazy smile, noticing that the hot leader has completely bent to the macabre genius of the invisible boy. Strutting with his purple cape in the wind, our MC leads the army to the final bloodbath, showing the broad shoulders of someone who has already been through 10 consecutive wars. 2 hours later, the booms shake the ruins of the entire valley as spells burn the giant, thick bark of the ancient guardian in total, chaotic desperation. Drawing the supreme monsters aggro, the warriors plant their feet in the ground, veins popping, taking hits from roots until their joints burst in a bizarre waltz of survival. Even under the blind blows of earth-shattering vines, Yulan slashes the abomination's arms and doesn't let up on the front line, maintaining an animalistic, accelerated pace. In a colossal stroke of luck, the boss eats dirt, and the game drops a round barrier with a shimmering copper shield, increasing the newbie's defense by 20%. Aware of the gold scattered at the monster's feet, the strong woman catches her breath and asks the thief for permission to pocket the expensive item. After all, everything in the clearing revolved around the cocky kid's orders. Wise and mercenary to the bone, the boy scratches his chin, deciding to pocket only the useless rare gem jewels, immediately releasing the defensive part to please the queen of the group out of sincere friendship. Feeling a slight blush on her face, the healer thanks him quietly, almost bowing to the absolute leader, realizing the kindness of letting everyone share the spoils of that bloody and painful prize. In a final apocalyptic surge, the king's giant leg topples, cutting through the sharp rocks and bursting the earth to finally seal the macabre death of the greatest guardian of the rotten wooden darkness. Suddenly, a brutal explosion of giant roots tears through the ground, making the entire team jump back in fright. Drawing his dagger, our MC yells for everyone to focus on the battle and form a defensive line immediately. Soon, the colossal level 4 lord, the Ant King, emerges, ripping through the earth and exuding a macabre fury. Filled with hatred, the wooden monster curses the audacious humans who dared to step on its sacred territory. With a roar, the beast smashes the ground with its heavy fists, trying to turn the boy into pulp. Agile as a cat, the rogue slides right next to the giant root, escaping death by a hair. Immediately after, the kid lands smoothly on the ground, maintaining the cool posture of an untouchable veteran. Shocked by the scene, the blonde leader can't believe that a simple newbie is dancing circles around a lord boss. Without losing the rhythm of combat, the hero commands the tank to advance and forbids the casters from stepping near the danger zone. Clashing head-on, the shield bearer unleashes a heavy heroic strike, but the pitiful damage proves that the tree's bark is incredibly tough. Noticing his ally's firm block, our MC locks his gaze on the backline and yells with all his might, summoning the mages. Instantly, the staffs of the rear guard glow brightly, charging beams of elemental energy, ready for annihilation. Like a true magical machine gun, the spells tear across the battlefield and bombard the Wooden King from all sides in a devastating combo.